Hey, Andy here. Um, I know I already posted a video today, but I figured this would be a real quick, fun one for a commenter, ABC-C4G, about an hour ago. Says, hey, can you make a video deploying the Bitnami chart, Bitnami Discourse Helm chart? So, of course, I'm always up for a challenge, and you can see it's kind of dark out now, but you know what? This should be a fun and quick one. So, we're actually going to do this live. I've never really looked at it. I literally just clicked on the link, Google Discourse, Bitnami, and they had single tier Docker, Kubernetes, or virtual machine. So of course we're going to do Kubernetes, and it looks relatively simple. I just spun up a 3 node cluster, get node. Yep, they're all up and running. I use DigitalOcean. Some of my demos are local and Harvester. Some are in the cloud because it's just easier. And here to prove you right, doctl, you drop the list. And you can see those are my 3 VMs. They should look familiar. Okay, cool. So one of the real tricks when deploying applications with Helm is not only understanding the Helm chart, but understanding the values. So in this case, it says Helm install. I'm not going to do that just yet. It says read more about the installation. Let's go to the chart. Now, interesting and really kind of cool about Bitnami is they have charts for everything. Um, I don't know why Keycloak. Oh, they do have one for Keycloak. Fantastic. I might actually use that instead of the one I've been using. Anyway, so we're looking at Discourse. So typically in a Helm folder structure, you'll see like values, you'll see the README, they'll have the chart YAML, which kind of describes it. You really want to look at the values. Now, there's two ways to kind of manage this. One is to go value by value by value and really kind of figure out what you want. The other one is to copy the whole file. What do we want to do? Should we flip a coin? I'm gonna go with just looking at the few things that I know we probably need, and then we're gonna try and figure it out live because I don't like the idea of storing a file with another file. Okay, so it says Helm install and kubectl get ingress-a. We have no ingresses. We can see we've got RKE2, all the things fully stigged, ready to go, canal and all that. Okay, so let's just do the Helm install. What's actually really cool is I'm not going to change it. I'm going to flip it around instead of my release. I'm going to call it do an upgrade-i and discourse, right? Yep, and hit return. So it's going to go ahead and install now. So I've never installed this before, I promise. I have no idea what to expect. Well, that's running. Let's take a look at global. I don't think we're dealing with global storage class, none of these things. I don't have a storage class, so it looks like it's deployed two resources. There are two resource sections in the chart not set using user preference, disclosure password. Okay, so port forward. So cool. It looks like it deployed something. And we can see, oh, it did it in the default namespace. That's not good. Oh, pending. What are you pending for? So let's first do this. Let's do Helm on oh, it was in the default namespace, and we called that discourse. So it's going to remove that now because the reason why, and let me pull up a code editor. Ah, that's big. Let me go new. Let me kind of trim it down a little bit because what I want to do, no, the face is going to go there, but that's fine. Let's do history, and we're going to do this chart. So one of the things I don't like doing is create namespace and then dash dash namespace course. Okay, so let's do that first. Let's let that go. I'm a big fan of using its own namespace just because of application separation. Notice now it's in a Discourse namespace. Okay, so it's waiting for Discourse Postgres and Discourse Redis master. So let's go ahead and see what that's about. So kube describe pod -n Discourse namespace Postgres. So it needs a persistent volume claim. Okay. So some applications do require having persistent storage. So what we can do is luckily we know how to manage that. We have a tool called Longhorn. Where is it? I have it here, my functions. I I apologize. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. So what I can do is I've already got Helm on my machine. Let me just do a Helm repo update. And I'm going to slowly switch all of my Helm charts to OCI. So I don't even have to store them on my laptop, which is nice. Okay. So I don't care about some of the defaults. We just need to give it a, we don't even need to enable ingress. Let's just go ahead and do that. And that'll create, and then I'll go ahead and deploy Longhorn. So Longhorn's really going to be a stateful storage. So we'll do -n for, so I'm just uninstalling it right now while Longhorn's installing. Yeah, Discourse, learn to spell correctly. And then kubectl pod, and we can see Longhorn's coming up and our Discourse is gone. Okay, so let's figure out why. Why was it waiting? We're not worried about that. We're not in diagnostic mode. We're not mucking with the images or the auth. We might have to come back and play with the host and some of the auth, but I'm not too worried about that right now. SMTP, I'm not worried about. There was a section in there that said on the install, not Longhorn, that said something about like, here we go. So read the instructions, discourse, port forward, open browser, get discourse. It says there's a resource section in the chart, not set. So we'll probably have to look that up. By the way, this is a fairly complicated chart. Use resources preset is not recommended for production installations. Please use the following values. Okay, I'm not worried about this because this, why is it password? Resources 57. Cool. That's easy enough. Resources preset. Okay, where are we? So I'm trying to look at the tree. Discourse. Trying to see if it goes. Okay, so it's discourse. Because this is one of the things that's kind of tricky is trying to figure out what the YAML tree is. So discourse preset. X2X. Persistence true, 10 gig. Okay, let's do this. Let's just see where we're at with Longhorn. Yep, Longhorn's up and running. And we'll go back here. I believe it was number 4. Yep, we'll just copy that and paste it. And we'll go ahead and redeploy. And this should let us go with our pending. And we'll get our pods. Okay, cool. We see them container creating. And did it give us any fun messages when we did that? It, again, said, there are resource sections in the chart not set. Don't you love it when a chart's this complicated? Okay. Custom Pro. Let's go to the top of the dock. So 21. So there it says 2XL, small, nano, nano, nano. Oh, get rid of that for a second. Okay, so it looks like, so see it says preset master Redis. So Redis enables true. So let's go to the top. So this is for Discourse itself is a 2XL. What's a small? Sidekick. Okay, pod. Okay, so I have Redis and Postgres running. What else? What are we missing? This is a tough one, dude. Let's look at the README, see if they've given any indication. Okay. Introduction, prerequisites, in production, try Tanzu. Oh, yeah, because VMware bought Bitnami. Install the chart, rolling versus immutable. Yeah, it didn't deploy an actual discourse. Deploy the other two. Huh. Replica count. So see, it says dash dash set. Oh, I like that notation. I'm gonna have to borrow that. Okay. Sidecar service, database, ingress, TLS secrets. This is really not helpful. Because usually there's like a quick start. There's like, if you just run this, this chart bootstraps a discourse deployment. Okay, configuration, installation details, resource limits, rolling versus immutable. I don't care about that. I don't care about replication, installing plugins, sidecars, ingress, woo, woo, woo. Persistence. Do not run the discourse installation wizards, plugins. I mean, so here's one trick, right? When you're looking at the values, these are the defaults. So these are what automatically gets deployed. So let's straight up look for the discourse because I'm curious why the discourse section, why there's no discourse deployed. Hostname. Here's what we can do. Let's figure something out. So one of the things we can do is do this, do Helm template. I'll just pipe it to less. Okay, because one of the things I'm looking for, so there's a network policy, which we don't need specifically, but that's fine. Pod disruption budget, that's nice, that's advanced. Service accounts, secrets. I'm looking for the object type. I'm looking for a deployment or a pod or a stateful set. Config maps, those are always important. PVCs, yep, we've already got that. We know that's working. Service, because the pod or the deployment will actually deploy the pods, right? So here, okay, so here's a deployment. Checksums. What is the image? A init container. So it's setting up a file system on the init. I'm reading this right. Yep. Oh, so there is no init. Sorry, this is the deployment. And it looks like image. Okay, so it looks like it's doing something. Let's get deployment. Okay, so let's figure out why it's not deploying. kubectl. What are we missing? We might need to set those environment variables. Let's just see real quick. So I'm obviously describing the deployment here, trying to figure out why it's not deploying. There's the image, runtime default, limits. I should have plenty of limits, liveness, debug, environment, false. Okay, so these are all set. I don't need to worry about those. So the replica set is set. Sheet. Okay, so it's not running. So you'll get RS. So RS stands for replica set, by the way. It's desired, but it can't. So kubectl describe replica set. Whoa. Okay. Ah, I see what's going on. Okay, this is pretty easy to solve. I know an easy way to do this. Okay, so I've got CIS profile turned on. So this is completely me. So the easy way out of this is, and I have notes on this. I go to my K8S. I go to Rancher. Where do I have it? Rancher Pact. Am I blind? There you go. Rancher PS Act. So what I need to do is I basically need to do here, I'll copy this out, put it in my other notes. Close that. I need to label the namespace. So it's being held up by security. So let's just do a kubectl get pod. I might not kick it off because sometimes it gets stuck. If an install, doing that Helm. Trying to be lazy. There we go. So I'm gonna uninstall this here. So what we're gonna do is whoa, wrong one. We're gonna pull out the create namespace. I'm not worried about that because, by the way, I'll put this in the show notes. kubectl create a namespace, and that way we can security tag it. We can label it, and then let's see where this gets us. So let's just get a pod. Okay, it's removed. We've labeled it. Apparently it moved the namespace, so it's there. So we make sure we labeled it. Now we're doing the Helm install, and then we can do kube get pod. And cool. Okay, great. So now we see that there's 3 pods like we expected, discourse and all that. So let's go back and let's make this kind of, I'm not a big fan of like the whole kube proxy. So let's, looking for ingress. So typically on an ingress, sweet, ingress enabled, true. So we'll go back here and we'll do --set. And that looks like it's top level, right? Service. That looks like it's top level. It'll tell us. Oh yeah. Param ingress enabled. But this documentation is actually pretty good. Ingress enabled equals true. And then usually there's going to be class name. I don't think we need to worry about host name. Default host for ingress record. Cool. Equals discourse.rfed.s. So I have a wildcard cert in DNS when the cluster gets built. TLS, I'm not worried about extra paths. Let's just try that. So first off, let's see where the pod's at. Running, creating. We'll do this. Go ahead and just hit the create, the upgrade, and then we'll watch kubectl get pod. Okay, we'll watch that. It's going to do a rolling. And actually, it only really should affect the first one. The bounced Redis master. Not sure why on that one. And yeah, my background just switched. So there's secrets if you're passing in, volume permissions, image, pull secrets. A lot of knobs here. This is actually pretty cool that the Bitnami's gone to this depth. Hats off to the person who wrote this because it is not easy writing a 1,000-line config file effectively. Okay. So while that's coming up, let's see if we got an ingress. Get ingress-a, and yep, there we go. Discourse.rfed.io. Like I said, I have a wildcard DNS that's pointing here. That's great. We can see it on port 80. Get service SVC. And copy that just so I've got that. Cool. Those look like all the services, headless, master, high availability. Okay, cool. And we get pod, container creating. Okay, it's running. All right, let's do this. Sometimes I don't mind deleting it because again, we can just go bloop. It wasn't deleting Discourse. Nope, so that's still there. We can go ahead and do that. So now we're kind of, we know we're starting fresh with new pods and new pod connections. Terminating, pending. Oh, that's still terminating. Why don't we do this? We'll use a bigger hammer. Let's just do an uninstall and delete the namespace. Dash dash fours. This is like the big hammer. This was fun. This video turned out a little bit longer than I thought, but it's still good. At least hopefully you guys can see just kind of the thought process when you're looking at a new Helm chart, you're looking at the values. Okay, the nice thing about this delete command is when it comes back, you know that there is not even a namespace for Discourse. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run this whole thing, right? So we're going to create the namespace. We're going to give it permissions to do whatever it wants. Because again, and by the way, just to show you what I'm going to log into my RKE2 control plane node, cat, rancher RKE config YAML. And you can see that I have the CIS profile turned on, SE Linux support turned on. This is effectively stigged and hardened. So that's why we ran into that issue. Okay, so we've labeled it. So now let's go and do the deployment. And go as usual, and then we'll watch TCH. Okay, cool. So we'll give it a hot minute. Make sure everything's created. The other thing we can do, actually we'll do this, dash O wide, so you can see that it's on 2 of the 3 nodes. Cool, they're running. We'll watch for restarts. That's always fun from like a liveness readiness probe standpoint of view. The images are already in the cluster, plus these are already out in DigitalOcean, so they can pull pretty quickly from Docker Hub. So I'm not worried about the images. See what it says 0 of 2 for Discourse, so that means there's an init container, or at least there's 2 containers. Okay, so there was a restart. Let's figure out what's going on with that. So I'm not worried about that because typically a restart like an application like that, it'll wait for, in this case, Postgres and Redis to come up. If it's only one, I'm not worried about that. Let's see if it restarts. If it restarts again, we'll go ahead and look at the logs. Come on, buddy, you can do it. I wonder what the readiness probe is for that. Let's look at the logs. Logs dash I. Discourse and the pod name. And it'll probably say, well, which one are you talking about? Okay, so it's populating the database. Okay, so we just got to be mindful. We'll let it run. Oh, trying to connect to database server. Okay, so it is working. Populate the database, and now it's creating an admin user. Okay, we'll let that run. And then, oh, by the way, get your Discourse login credentials by running. So we'll do that and go, pew. Okay, cool. So we just ran that. Why would you just run this command? Okay. Oh, that's why. One line. Anyway, so there's our password, our username and password. So I'm just going to put it here just so I have a copy of it. I'll just scroll back. Running. Okay, so we've had that one restart, and the second one's coming up. And let's see how lucky we are. Discourse.rfed.io. Okay, not ready yet. That's fine. Look at the logs. Pre-compiling assets. This may take some time. How much time? 5 minutes? 38 seconds? 148 minutes. What does that mean? Do 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 do. So the reason why it's taken a while, well, obviously it's because it's pre-compiling, but the reason why we can't see it is because it hasn't gone to a full readiness probe. And once the readiness probe is ready, then the ingress to service and service to pod connection will be all the way made through. And then we'll be able to actually just hit refresh on the screen. Cool. While we're waiting for that, I'll just show you kubectl get PVC. I'll do it in that namespace just to show you. Oh, so it created three persistent volumes. So 8, 10, and 8. One for Discourse, one for Postgres, and one for Redis. Okay, that's a lot of storage, 20 gigawatts. Pre-compiling. Running. Come on. Not ready yet. Okay. Let's take a look at the Helm chart while we're playing here. I think you can actually disable Redis. Redis is usually used for an in-memory cache. Let's see if it says anything here. Redis chart, Redis enabled, Redis password. So we could probably, if you wanted to, probably make this faster by disabling Redis. But it's probably not that big of a deal. External Redis password. Yeah, like I said, typically on an architecture like this, Redis is going to be used as a cache. So it will speed up, of course, what the login is. So it will speed up. Let's look at the Postgres. Because I know something like Git, you can go and say, don't use an external database, don't use Redis. And so it's literally a single container, which is good. Oh, there we go. It started. Yeah. Security update failed. Checksum. Uh, okay. Looks like it's doing something. This looks like database. Previous session was here. But if we go here and we hit refresh, we should get, oh, that looks promising. Ta-da! Discourse. So if I log in with user, we had our password. Log in. Huzzah. Cool. So hopefully that kind of gives you, no, I want skip steps. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea on how to deploy the Bitnami. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the chart here, and I'll put that in the show notes. So, Mr. User ABC-C4G, if that is your real name, I hope you like it. This will be uploaded in a few minutes, and like I said in the past, man, feel free if anybody's got any other suggestions. Hopefully, you understand kind of like the thought process, looking at charts, looking, kind of working through some of the little issues. Obviously, this issue was self-inflicted with the CIS profile turned on from a security standpoint of view. Duh. Um, so, like I said, hopefully it makes sense, and keep watching. And let me know if there's anything else, any other videos you can think of, and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.